Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, here we are again, Hudson County View, live and uncut. I'm your host with the most, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, John R. Hydus. I hope you enjoyed a relatively peaceful August. We have certainly been working hard. Here we are back in the studio at Hudson Media Group. You can see we have some upgrades, and we have a special guest today, and there's just so many things to talk about. I don't even know where to start, but I'll try. So, this week, the city of Hoboken, it was revealed that they received an outside council letter to repeal their pay-to-play laws. We're certainly going to be talking about that. We're also going to be discussing a super PAC that's going to be rumored to be playing a role in this upcoming council races, November 5th. And just breaking pretty much hot off the presses in the last hour and a half or so, the city has canceled an e-scooter contract with OHO, one of just 2 e-scooters that were allowed to operate in the mile square. So, you know, that's a lot, obviously, just right off the bat, but that's not even the half of it. We're also going to be sitting down with Hoboken's first ward councilman, Mike DeFusco. And on top of that, we have a ton of news out of Jersey City. They're working on $120 million public safety complex, so that's going to be part of the Jackson Square Annex, of course, on Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. And on top of that, the Jersey City Police Officers Benevolent Association is pushing to get their off-duty security job details back. This is already a whole ton. It looks like we got a full plate today, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. But first, we're going to have a word from our sponsors, and then we're going to sit down with Councilman DeFusco. Just hang with us for a few minutes here.
More than a state-of-the-art medical facility to make a great hospital. It takes a team of dedicated medical professionals. That's the Jersey City Medical Center, Hudson County's #1 hospital. Medical teams consisting of New Jersey's top doctors, Magnet Award-winning nurses, and accomplished hospital associates, all committed to your good health. That's what you have at the Jersey City Medical Center. Make Hudson County's #1 hospital your first choice. Visit us on the web at barnabashealth.org. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers the quality of life you deserve in 10 high-rise rental towers with amenities such as the on-site Newport Path subway, light rail and ferry service, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Sears, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams Supermarket is just outside your front door. A health and fitness club, spa, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. NewportNJ.com. Enjoy the New York skyline from Newport Town Square. Manhattan is just 1 path stop away or quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Want to visit Newport? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. Go to NewportNJ.com for details. Newport has luxurious towers, great restaurants, shopping, New York skyline views, schools, playgrounds, a marina and yacht club, gym, spa, fine wine, fine living. It's incredible. It's you. NewportNJ.com. Newport. Live like you want.
You know I never steer you wrong. Hudson County Politicos, as promised. Here is First Ward Councilman Mike DeFusco. Mike, thanks for coming on.
The man, the myth, the legend, John Hydus. Thank you for having me in your beautiful studio. It's fantastic.
Oh, well, very nice to hear, Mike. You know, always been a favorite guest. Good to have you here in the, in the new dig. So,
oh, stop it. Thank you. I love being here.
Okay. So with that, I mean, not much time to waste. As you already know, there's just a bajillion and one things happening in Hoboken. But right here, right now, the mayor announced just less than 2 hours ago, I think it was like an hour and a half ago, that OHO contract has been terminated. This is in light of this incident last night. We don't know any details. The police said it's an ongoing investigation and they can't comment. But a woman in her stroller was struck by a young person. I don't know the age or the details, like I said, on the street, on the sidewalk, and medical personnel had to come. Thankfully, nobody was severely injured, but even though no one's coming out and saying it directly, it would seem that's what led to the cancellation, the termination of this contract, right?
It does appear so. The mayor, as always, has not communicated to council. It's an ongoing investigation, so the police are obviously looking into it right now. But as I said back in April when the OHO contract came up, it was not a good thing for Hoboken at this point in time. We had already approved the Lime scooter contract. The administration had not rolled out any sort of cohesive public safety program. There was no rider information available, and so myself, as well as a few other council persons on the city council, voted no to the OHO contract, stating that we were worried about public safety. My thoughts, my prayers, and my hopes go out to the young family that were impacted by this. But this is what the council has been telling the mayor since day one. The council can approve a contract, and his minority on the council was the portion of the council that actually moved the OHO contract forward. It's also curious because Hudson Bike Share is a donor of the mayor as well, which is also a part to do with OHO as well. But at the end of the day, I am pleased to hear that OHO is taken off the table, and I look forward to working with the administration as well as the entire city council to make sure that we tighten Lime Scooter's contract, we get more for the city, in terms of public safety and transportation infrastructure as well.
So as you know, this is a hot button issue. I mean, it's obviously Hoboken's basically a minefield right now. You can't walk 2 steps without something going off. Yeah. But, e-scooters has consistently been doing that for many months now. So what does this mean for Lime as far as you're concerned?
Well, listen, Lime is on notice. They've been on notice since day one. The council is keeping an active eye on this, but ultimately the administration, the mayor, is the enforcement entity of this. The council has, over the past many months, done a number of safety initiatives, from authoring a resolution that forced the mayor to go back and renegotiate the contract with Lime, adding additional revenues that we are investing into public safety enforcement, geofencing the waterfront. I authored an ordinance myself that raised the fines for those that are offenders, as well as, as 3 strikes you're out rule, which means if you violate our laws 3 times, you're banned from using the city's program. So as I said on day one of the Lime contract, everybody should be on notice. This is a pilot, and we're keeping an active eye on it. And I, for one, am, although I was an early supporter of bringing micromobility to Hoboken, and quite frankly, John, use it every day responsibly, I'm also going to be the first person at the end of this contract to pull the cord if this mayor continues to look the other way as people violate the law. I do think it is an affordable option. I do think Hoboken is ripe for this, but if we have a mayor that is unable to handle the keys that we've given him, we'll take those keys away.
It's certainly a work in progress, and it's certainly something that needs check and balances, like all municipal issues, as you know well. So on a different issue, on something that's really more of a politics issue. There was something recently, a letter September 3rd from Ray Hamlin, who has a law firm in Patterson. They also have an office in Newark, and they were recommending to Corporation Counsel Brian Aloya that Hoboken should seriously consider repealing their pay-to-play. They're saying it's unconstitutional under those rules that a union could only give $500 to an individual candidate. I mean, it was a lot more. It was a long letter, but that's the gist of it. So what's your take on all that? Well,
what the administration also isn't telling you is that 2 years ago, Corporation Counsel also opined something similar. At the end of the day, if the council chooses to take up this conversation, I think it's a healthy one to have. In regards to our upcoming council elections, the bigger threat on the horizon is a super PAC that is being formed, likely from a city vendor, that is looking to spread misinformation and change the dialogue in Hoboken away from facts. So, in regards to pay-to-play, I look forward to a conversation should the mayor, ask us to do so. And, at the end of the day, we need to make sure that the sanctity of our elections, that contributions are legal, and that we don't have outside interference coming into Hoboken at all. So, as I wrote about, these two topics are obviously intertwined, but if backstep just maybe half an inch here. So some people that support the mayor's re-election have said to me that part of the reason the wheels are in motion, obviously these are conversations happening in the back off the record, but they're saying that part of the reason that this is out there is because they feel that in 2017 you were routinely violating some of these pay-to-play rules, and they want to make sure that everybody's participating on the same playing field going forward. So what's your reaction to that? When we checked in with Corporation Counsel 2 years ago, we were in full compliance with all relevant state and federal laws. He opined that we were in the right, and that is where we stand today. At such a time that the council wishes to change the law or keep the law as it is, I would be happy to cast my vote accordingly. But at the end of the day, my campaigns have always been in full compliance with all relevant state and federal laws, and all of my donors are completely transparent and completely reportable and can be accessed on any of the ELEC records provided to the state. One way or the other, I am fully looking forward to the conversation.
Very good. So the Super PAC NJ Community Initiatives, I mean, there's not a whole heck of a lot known. I mean, we know the treasurer is the chairperson is Louis Venezia, who's the Bloomfield Fire Chief, who is the brother of Michael Venezia, the Bloomfield Mayor. We know the treasurer is a Democratic committee man, state committee man, that is Peter Nichols. And there's not much else. We know Stephanie Mulham's been hired as a fundraiser. She's worked with Dawn Zimmer and Ravi Bale in the past. That's basically the only thing that's on public record right now. Is there anything else you could tell us on this topic that you think would lend credence to the fact that this is going to be in Hoboken for the next couple months?
Well, Ms. Mulham was funded by monies related back to an insurance provider, Fairview Insurance, for her race for the Board of Education, I believe in Brick. That's publicly reportable. That was reported in the Central Jersey press at that time. You succinctly just indicated her relationship to Ravi Bala. Fairview Insurance themselves are the single largest cost drivers in our municipal budget last year. Actually, they sent us millions of dollars into the red. I was one of the few council people that publicly stood up against this nickel and diming of the people of Hoboken on account of a politically connected vendor. It is not surprising to me that this vendor is now looking to see true independents like myself out of office by putting dark money behind a super PAC. At the end of the day, that's where super PACs succeed. They hide in the shadows. They are not publicly reportable. So it is humorous, to say the least, that Mayor Bala's slate today came out indicating that they are going to run fair elections, when in reality the super PAC is very much in support of that slate and very likely in support of my opponent in the first ward, because I'm fairly confident that the mayor would like to see no one else leave the council more than myself.
I mean, that's probably not a bold statement, but since you mentioned the release, let's touch on that for a second. So specifically, if I'm not mistaken, they were talking about we're only going to accept campaign volunteers on Election Day, November 5th. We're not going to pay anyone. And, you know, they talked again about the vote by mail fraud and Frank Ray, the same stuff that we've heard for about I don't know, 2 months now.
Sure.
So just your reaction to that specific proclamation that they'd like to see each candidate take a pledge not to pay any campaign workers on Election Day.
We have a headline-driven mayor that literally has accomplished very little instead of making statewide headlines, being supported by a council slate right now that is going to rubber stamp anything without question, including insurance contracts that are not favorable to the people of Hoboken. I find it, again, disarming that my opponent, who is the chief political aide to the mayor, running a campaign out of City Hall, has the audacity to stand up and say that they're not going to pay campaign workers on the day of the election, when she herself refuses to take time away from her City Hall funded job to run her own campaign. So there's do as I say, not as I do dynamic, but that's not any news to us from this current administration. I, for one, am going to run my campaign as I always have, which is based on ideas, integrity, making sure I talk to every single voter, and making sure that folks know exactly who is funding the mayor's slate, and they are not upstanding individuals.
On that point, Councilman, not to beat a dead horse, but as you know, your opponent has said time and time again that, you know, she can't take your ethics reforms or your calls for ethical stances on things seriously since you took those contributions from Frank Ray 2 years ago. I mean, I know we've heard it time and time again, but just if you wanted to put it to bed, I mean, how would you do so?
Well, listen, the mayor was the first one to call Frank Ray an upstanding guy. The mayor was also the one that tried to put him up onto the sewage authority, where then Council President Giattino refused to let him have his way. So the mayor's actions speak louder than his actual words. As soon as Frank was convicted, I immediately returned the contributions to real upstanding organizations, the Jubilee Center in Hoboken, which funds families of underprivileged backgrounds and after-school activities, to building veterans housing, and to the HCDO Democratic Caucus that I lead for the LGBTQ community. Yes. These $10,000 that I donated back are really going to go to a good place. In no way would I ever have given it back to Frank Rea. I want those monies to go benefit the people that are intimidated and that are subservient to the political class. So again, these are political talking points. If I somehow were connected to Frank, aside from the contributions that were publicly reported, I would have something to be worried about, but these were publicly reported contributions that were all donated back, and my opponent, as well as Ravi Bala, is just scratching for something to throw in my face in this election. I ask that they run a positive campaign. I wish they would recognize the work that we've done working together, but this is politics in Hudson County, and we now have a political boss in Ravi Bala that's going to play Hudson County politics.
I mean, listen, in life we don't always get what we want. I'd like a date with Beyonce.
Come on, you like this? It gets you clicks. Anytime I'm up on your site, there's so many mysterious people commenting and clicking. You get more traffic that way.
It's not much of a mystery, but that's a different conversation for a different time. On a lighter note, let's talk a little bit about this pop-up park. So, obviously, this is what was that? 77
Park Avenue.
Park Avenue.
Yep.
And now some people, again, from the mayor's circle, are pushing back and saying this is open every day. It's been open every day. It's a lovely park. We don't know what this guy's talking about.
Yeah.
So, your reaction to that?
I think it's one of those situations where Ravi wants to be at the helm of everything. He is a lawyer, so in his mind, it's about winning or losing. I come from the private sector. I come from a place where it's about collaboration. I have long worked with this administration. I've also had ideas that are independent of this administration. This is one such idea. It is a publicly accessible park. As a neighborhood guy, I have merely seen a handful of people in there over the course of many years. There's a gate. The gate has a lock on it, and just visually, it does not appear to be an accessible space. So my vision for Hoboken is to activate underutilized spaces, whether it's the train terminal, bringing a European market concept to that, reactivating the kiosks on Pier A, or this pocket park. It's how do we take underutilized, not derelict, but underutilized spaces and make them better. If we had a collaborative mayor, he would say, you know what, that's actually a very good idea. Let me work with the councilman to see how we could take down that fence, to see how we can work with the property owner to bring small, innovative, exciting businesses that will benefit our community. If we have an opportunity to truly have public-private partnerships and all branches of government working together, we'll have a more successful Hoboken. And that's what I yearn to do, not just with this administration and this council, but in the years ahead. Collaboration, communication based around ideas, not politics. That's what I've always run on. That's what my council office has always represented. And this pop-up park makes sense. And anyone you talk to in that neighborhood wants to be part of this conversation because it's exciting, it's new, and it's going to revitalize that portion of the neighborhood.
Very good, Councilman. And real quick, I meant to say earlier, we were talking about the PAC. Some, again, that are supportive of the mayor have said this is no different, NJ Community Initiatives, that is, than when New Jersey Democracy in Action advocated for the runoff last year. Granted, Super PAC, 501c4, people generally don't know the difference. But, I mean, to you, what do you think the differences are?
Well, the big difference is that this shady, shadowy Super PAC is being funded by a vendor that has set our city into the red at the detriment of taxpayers, whereas a other PAC, which I don't have anything to do with, supported a ballot initiative to bring back democratic elections to give a majority rule to Hoboken, which was overwhelmingly approved by 74%. One is an issue of politics, the other is of good government and electoral fairness.
Very good, Councilman.
I appreciate that.
Mike, thanks so much.
Thank you,
Ladies
John.
and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. We're not done yet. We're going to take a little breather. We'll see you in a hot second.
Good Friend Self-Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunnelly Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self-Storage. Let us be your good friend.
Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants. All major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Panapinto Properties, Jersey City. Shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office space and an address your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment. Adjacent to all modes of transportation. On-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. 201-521-9000 or visit on the web at panapintoproperties.com. Panapinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
And we're back, Hudson County View, live at Uncut. John Arhitis, and now we're joined with Mark Bucinich. So, Mark, before you tell us about some of the latest in Jersey City, I just wanted to clarify for those that may be jumping in late, haven't been on the site today, or whatever. I just wanted to clarify that in breaking news, two things actually. One from Hoboken is that the city has announced through Mayor Ravi Bala that they have terminated their vendor contract with OHO, one of two e-scooter companies, after last evening a OHO rider crashed into a mother and her infant child. Thankfully, no serious injuries reported, and the city is not saying that there's a direct correlation, but that's the timeline of events. We will certainly update you when we hear more. Secondly, and another bit of breaking news, I wanted to also point out that the Hudson County Prosecutor's Office has announced that the Union City DPW crash in July 3rd that was, where that DPW truck overturned on a Route 495 West, they're saying that this was a driver error. Eulalio Diaz, 53, a driver error. Eulalio Diaz, 53, allegedly put his foot on the gas instead of the brake, causing these multiple collisions, causing this truck to overturn, and causing some injuries here and there. Thankfully, nothing too serious. But, there's already been a couple lawsuits filed here. I imagine this is going to lead to at least a couple more, but only time will tell. So, with that out of my system, Mark, please tell us what's going on in Jersey City. Tell us a little bit about last night's council meeting, if you would.
John, well, first of all, great to be back in the studio and to be joining you again here at Hudson Media Group. Yes, indeed, a lot was going on in Jersey City last night. On the agenda was there was supposed to be a discussion around council aid, raising the pay for council aides, but they all voted unanimously to raise the pay. So, but soon after...
Just before you continue, Mark,
sure.
Can you just tell us, like you said, it was kind of just an up and down vote, which for those that aren't familiar, I'm sure you are, but it just means, everybody gives their vote without an actual discussion. So could you just tell us what the significance of that legislation is? Yeah,
so for a long time, council aides haven't seen an increase in their pay. I think it's something like, I overheard someone say yesterday, maybe 15 years. And so the council, the city council wants to increase their aides pay. So from, I think right now it currently stands at $15,000. They want to raise it to $42,500 for one council aide, and if a council member decides to hire two council members, well, then divide two into $42,500, and they would each be paid a little bit over $21,000 each.
All right, $21,250.
Exactly. And so that's what they voted on. Councilman Michael Youn was absent yesterday, but he had expressed during a caucus meeting during the summer that he was indeed in favor of raising their salary.
All right, so a rare, quick, and easy unanimous vote. But on the other side of the coin, of course, not everything is that easy, especially in Jersey City. So tell us what you were going to say before I jumped in here.
Yeah, no worries, John. Well, the other big issue that came up yesterday was, and it had to do with the Jersey City Police Officers Benevolent Association. Their president, Carmine Disbrow, spoke before the city council. As you know, there's been an ongoing litigation between the union and also the union representing lieutenants, sergeants, and captains.
The supervisors union.
The supervisors union, it is. And they currently filed a lawsuit against the city because, as many of our audience members know, It was back in 2017 when there was some corruption was exposed by some of the police officers who were on details, off-duty security detail, that is.
Right, so no-show jobs, about a dozen either pleading guilty or convicted of those.
And the former police chief, Philip Zaki, I think, earning about $30,000 for no-show work.
Correct, yep, he was one of many.
Yes. So, so there's that ongoing litigation, but Mr. Disbrow said before the council that he's really looking forward to the council putting forth an ordinance that would restore the program. Now, he admitted before the council that, yes, there was corruption, but he said that that was only 1% of the total Jersey City Police Department
Right, 'cause there's about
officers.
950 officers, right?
Exactly. So, and that the rest were did not engage in that type of behavior. So, and he was making the point that because many of his younger officers are only making, now remember they reached a new contract with the city back last year to increase their salary from $37,000 to $41,000, but nonetheless, Disbrow was making the argument that that many of his younger officers do not have the most desirable living conditions because their salary right now is too low, and because of the suspension or elimination by the city of this off-duty security details program, they're missing out on work opportunities. So in return, just to sum up here, John, in return, the council members that will be working on this ordinance include council members Mira Pranzeri, Richard Boggiano, and also one other council person, Daniel Rivera, that is, excuse me.
Sure. Yeah, no problem.
And, but the most vocal council member to talk about the need to restore this program was Council President Rolando Lavaro.
I saw the clip. He looked pretty fired up.
He was very fired up, John. Indeed, he was, and he said that, and he even made a threat to the city administration, saying that, say for example, the city council they do pass an ordinance on their second reading because they'll be introducing a first reading ordinance at their next meeting on September 25th. So if they vote on it in October in the second reading and it passes, but yet the city doesn't act on that, he said he'd be willing to stand up for those for the Jersey City Police Department officers by taking up litigation if necessary against the city.
Yeah, I mean, a pretty bold stance by the council president. I mean, not a surprise. I mean, he's obviously thrown his punches at the mayor in recent weeks, recent months. Clearly, he's the front runner for 2021 mayoral contest. Whatever comes to fruition, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But on this specific issue between the Jersey City Police Officers Benevolent Association and the city, I mean, you just have to wonder how they resolve this thing, because obviously there was instances of corruption, obviously something that needs to be addressed, but then for 900 plus people to not be able to supplement their income, you know, it's really a rock and a hard place, to put it nicely. Would you agree?
I definitely would agree, John. I mean, and also the council president pointed out that, you know, he was in favor of first introducing a resolution, but in his discussions with his the other council members, according to Council President LeVar, there's already an ordinance on the books that is, that goes back years, that established this off-duty security details program. And so he was in favor of a resolution, but he said that the council members that have been working on this new ordinance said maybe a new ordinance would be better than a resolution, because they would be able to define the parameters around this new ordinance that would take into consideration more stringent accountability and enforcement mechanisms.
Right. The ordinances typically have a wider scope than the resolutions in municipal government scenarios, whether we're talking Jersey City, anywhere else. Timing's also interesting. Just real quick, I mentioned at the top of the show that the council approved 7-1, I believe, with Councilman Boggiano voting no. Moving forward with this $120 million public safety complex in Jackson Square, and that would house about 200 public safety officials a day in the beginning. So, you know, it's really an interesting, I guess, paradigm shift between, you know, all this friction between the police department and the administration, but then the administration also working together with the PD and fire. But on that, we're going to have to call it a day. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your week. We will see you in 7 days.